Welcome back to Trees Transparency. My second episode, my transparenters and transparentees, where I give you the real, no beating around the bush, no nothing. Now, I have to put the disclaimer and warning. If your triggers are or you have problems with abuse, violence, religion, racism, sexual orientation, sexual identity, etc. If you have any problems with that, you need to keep scrolling because this is not the channel for you. Okay? And I'm giving it to you straight, no chaser. And today's topic is taking care of an elderly parent or ailing child or family member. Is it a real thing? Do you think it's a real thing? I do. Um, Here's some shocking statistics. Estimated cost of free caregiving per year in the U.S. is $375 billion. That's double the amount of that's spent 2 years ago. Now, over 65 million people, 29% of the U.S. population, give care to a chronically ill or disabled or elderly family member. They provide an estimate 20 hours or more a week. Now, at the end of this video, I tell you my experience, but on average, adult children giving care to an aging parent are women mostly, age of 49. These individuals often care for their widow mother, typically 20 years her senior. And I'm 16 years older. I'm 16 years younger than my mother. So, 66% of caregivers are employed women. Over 39% have children or grandchildren under the age of 18. 20 hours a week is the average number of hours family caregivers spend caring for their loved ones. 13% of the family caregivers provide 40 hours or more of care weekly. Now remember, we work 40 hours a week, correct? So you work 40 hours, then you come home and take care of a parent or a child or a family member for 40 hours. Second job, it sounds like to me. Family caregivers provide more nationwide long-term care than Medicaid. So we give our family members more time in a year than Medicaid. Think about that. 51% of care recipients live alone. So mother, father, family member usually lives alone. 29% live with a family that care for them. So usually if mom move in with me or dad move in with me, usually that would be better. But still, 4% live in nursing homes. 36% of family caregivers care for a parent. 7 out of 10 caregivers are caring for loved ones over 50. So 7 out of 10 caregivers are taking care of parents, child, or family member. Out of 10. 78% of adults living in the community needing long-term care have to depend on family, friends, as they are on their only source of help. So I'll tell you my thoughts of it after I give you all the statistics. Women who are family caregivers are 2.5 times likely than non-caregivers to live in poverty and 5 times more likely to receive SSI. 47% of working caregivers report having to use up their savings in a year. So all that money you saved up for that whole entire year is gone. 23% of the family caregivers caring for someone 50 plus spends $5,631 per year on out-of-pocket expense. Not your expense. Parents or child or family. Out of pocket. Per year. 72% of the family caregivers report not going to the doctor as often as they should. And you know why? Who can afford the copay? If I had to pay $25 for a copay for mom or dad or family member, I can't. If $5,000 plus is coming out of my pocket, how can I take myself to the doctor? How can I pay for that? 55% say that they skip doctor's appointments for themselves, and you wonder why. You look at me, I look at you. 63% of caregivers report having poor eating habits than non-caregivers. 58% report worse exercise habits than before caregiving responsibilities. And you wonder why. If I'm doing 40 hours a week at a job, then come home doing 40 hours, I'm too tired to even worry about myself. Or if I exercise, or if I eat healthy. I'm just trying to get something to eat so I can lay it down. Period. 17% of adult children will care for their parents at some point in their lives. That's something to think about. Really something to think about. Usually, at the beginning of the start to care for an elderly parent and or family member, it's critical for you to understand activities of daily living, or ADLS, and instrument activities of daily living, or IADLS. This is because they play a key role in accessing the amount of care your aging parent needs. So we're dealing with functional mobility, bathing, dressing, toilet, going to back and forth to the bathroom, personal hygiene, and self-feeding. Some parents, you can't. I'll tell you my situation later on in this video. Okay, while they're slightly less fundamental than ADLS, IDLS, instrumental activities of daily living, have a significant impact on your loved one's independence level. In most cases, our aging parents will require help with IADLS before ADLS, but this isn't always the instrumental ADLS, including maintaining the house, preparing meals, uh, shopping for necessities, paying bills, running errands, taking medication. So that's just basically their daily living. They're being independent. And most parents, with mine, was with the independence. She did not want her independence taken away. But you know that you're not trying to take their independence, you just taking care of their well-being. And it's hard to distinguish that of being the child and the parent. The parent was your parent all your life. But now you're in that same entity that you have to take care of them, which is draining, for one thing. Very draining. Caring for an elderly parent can be emotionally, mentally, and physically draining. And many caretakers place their own health and needs on the back burner to focus solely on that aging parent. You may feel guilty or inadequate at times and not want to admit that you cannot properly meet all of your parents' needs. However, it's virtually important to take a step back and give yourself a break. You have to take a break. If you don't, you'll go crazy. Please believe it. Taking care of yourself to avoid caregiving burnout. If you're currently taking care of an aging parent, you've probably heard of or even experienced caregiver burnout. Caring for elderly parents is often hard, thankless work that's taken for granted by those around you. Some of the signs of caregiver burnout: fatigue, irritability, withdrawal, empathy, guilt, appetite change. Roughly 70% of people age 65 and older will need some type of long-term care during their lifetime. Of more than 54.1 million elderly adults in the U.S., 65 or older, 1.3 million living in nursing homes. 2.4% of the elderly population, an additional 918,700 elderly Americans reside in the assisted living facilities, rest homes, long-term caregiver homes. 11% care for a friend, neighbor, or another non-relative. And that's 11%. 48% care for parents. 11% care for a spouse or long-term partner. 10% care for a grandparent or grandparent in-law. 9% care for parents in-law. 5% care for a sibling or sibling in-law. 5% care of another relative. 1% care over 50, care for another adult child. And I know I'm throwing a lot of percentages to you. I'm just trying to give you a broad spectrum of how this is really a thing. It's not nothing made up. It's nothing that is thrown on earth and you're like, okay, people really take care of their elderly parents? Yes. 43.5 million caregivers have provided unpaid care to an adult or child in the last 12 months. 34.2 million Americans have provided unpaid care to an adult aged 50 or older in the last 12 months. Majority of the caregiving, 82%, care for one other adult, 15% care for two adults, 3% care for three or more adults. 39.8 million caregivers provide care to adult age 18 plus with disability or illness, 16.6% of Americans. 15.7 million adult family caregivers care for someone who has Alzheimer's disease or dementia. 65% of care recipients are females, which is an average of 69.4%. The younger the care recipient, the more likely the recipient is to be male. 45% of the recipients age 18 to 45 are males, while 33% of recipients age 50 or higher are males. 75% of all caregivers are female and may spend as much as 50% more time providing care than males. Male caregivers are less likely to provide personal care, but 24% help a loved one get dressed compared to 28% of female caregivers. 16% of male caregivers help with bathing versus 30% of females. 40% of male caregivers help a loved one get dressed compared to 28% of female caregivers. 16% of male caregivers help with bathing versus 30% of females. 40% of male caregivers use paid assistance for a loved one personal care. About 14.5 million caregivers are males out of 43.4% who cares for an older family member. 9% of caregivers self-identity as LGBTQ male or caregivers report providing more hours of care than female LGBTQ caregivers. 14% of gay males indicate that they are full-time caregivers spending over 150 hours per week. 3% of lesbians and 2% of bisexual respondents. There are at least 3 million LGBTQ persons age 55 plus in the U.S. That's a lot. In an overall spectrum, that is a lot. LGBTQ individuals are more likely to be very concerned about having enough money, 51%. Experiencing loneliness in old age, 32%. Decline in physical health, 43%. Not being able to take care of themselves, 43%. Not having anybody to take care of them, 30%. LGBTQ older adults are twice as likely to age as a single person, twice as likely to reside alone, and 3 to 4 times less likely to have children. Okay. Individual adult caregivers. White is 62%. African American, 13%. Hispanics is 17%. Asian American is 6%. Hispanics caregivers have the highest reported prevalence, the fact or condition of being of a caregiver. 21% African is 21%. I'm sorry. African American, 20.3%. Asian American, 19.7%. White is 16.9%. Average age of caregivers among ethnic groups are white, 52.5 years old. Asian American, 46.6 years old. African American, 44.2 years old. Hispanic, 42%. 42.7%. Let's see. a lot of caregivers are usually, oh, well, we are given more caregiving is to Alzheimer's and dementia. Now, dementia and Alzheimer's is about the same, but something different. Dementia is a general term for declining in mental ability.